Hi friends, welcome back to Programmer's Vision. Today, let's study something very interesting about plants, how they reproduce. So the topic which I'm going to explain today is reproduction in plants, which requires only one parent, also known as asexual reproduction, which requires only one parent. Basically, there are two types of reproduction: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Under asexual reproduction, plants require a single parent. This method of reproduction involves a single parent which gives rise to a new individual. The offspring produced by this method are exact copies of their parents. For example, amoeba, some of the lower organisms such as hydra and yeast, reproduce by asexual reproduction. In plants, asexual reproduction takes place by the following methods. The first one is binary fission. So let's see what happens under binary fission. Small and low organisms such as bacteria, paramecium and blue-green algae reproduce through the method of binary fission. Here, the word binary means two and fission means splitting. It is a common method of reproduction in bacteria. In this method, the nucleus first splits into two and thereby leads the splitting of the whole cell, which finally forms two identical twins called the daughter cells. Each daughter cells then grow into an adult individual. In algae such as Chlamydomonas, another type of fission process called multiple fission is seen as method of reproduction during unfavorable conditions. Chlamydomonas develops a protective covering when the conditions aren't favorable. This protective covering is called the cyst. The cell divides again and again inside the cyst to produce many daughter cells. When the favorable conditions return, the daughter cells are released from the cyst. Each daughter cells grow into a new organism. Here is a figure 1 illustrating binary fission in amoeba. Let's see another type of reproduction known as budding. Reproduction by the method of budding is commonly seen in fungus, for example yeast. In this method, a small bud-like outgrowth is seen in the parent body. This bud grows, increases in the size and eventually gets detached from the parent. During the growing phase of the bud, the nucleus within the parent cells divide into two. One part moves into the bud and as a result, the detached bud is capable of growing into an independent plant. So from the parent cell, there is a small bud-like outgrowth which you can see here in the figure 2. So this bud grows or increases the size eventually and it gets detached from its parent. Then when the bud is growing, when the bud is in the stage of growing, the nucleus within the parent cells divides into two. So the nucleus divides into two. So one part of the nucleus moves into the bud and as a result, the detached bud is capable of growing into an independent plant. Now let's see the third method of asexual reproduction, which is fragmentation. In this method of asexual reproduction, the body of an organism breaks up into two or more fragments. Fragments means each part. Each part of the fragment then grows into a new plant. The most common example of this kind of reproduction is seen in filamentous algae Spirogyra. Let's move on to another method of reproduction, which is the spore formation. Spore formation is an asexual method of reproduction in plants. The formation of spores is seen on the underside of the leaves of some ornamental plants. These spores can be compared to the seeds formed in the higher plants. In the spore formation method of reproduction, the parent plant produces hundreds of tiny pores in spore cases. When the spore cases of the plants burst, then the spores spread into the air. As the spores are very light, they keep floating in the air and are carried over large distances by air. Each spore is covered by a hard protective coat to withstand unfavorable conditions such as high temperature or low humidity. They can survive for a long period of time. Under suitable conditions, spores are capable of producing new plants. Plants such as ferns, fungi, and mosses reproduce by means of spores. Fungus also produces spores. Here is an example of spore formation in fungus. So now we have learned the different types of asexual reproduction in plants. I hope friends you all have understood the types of asexual reproduction in plants. To see and know more such videos, please subscribe to my channel. Until then, have a good day and goodbye.